y'all, welcome back to Coffee, Cameras, and Creativity.
On the first episode, we talked a little bit about us. We did a little intro. Episode 1, we went through an intro of who we are and how we got started on both like our creative venture, general creative venture, and how we got started in the weddings and elopement game. What are we talking about this episode?
Today, we are diving into all things weddings. We're talking about how we handle shooting weddings from the initial inquiry when a couple reaches out to us, through actually planning the wedding day, through the wedding day itself, and then also how we handle, sending off the final gallery of photos and videos.
So that is the full process. We'll be going over it all from beginning inquiry all the way to the end of delivering.
We'll be talking about our gear, how we shoot weddings, how we prep for them, how we handle it, how we handle, different lighting scenarios, and also, like what happens if it rains on your wedding day or, someone falls down or rips their pants,
have
which
insurance.
We actually have experience in, and we'll be happy to tell that story.
So let's get into it.
Let's go.
All right. So first things first, let's talk about gear. So, Miss Lead Photographer, what do you shoot on?
Well, on my main camera, I shoot on a Canon R6 Mark II.
Nice.
On my backup, it's a Canon R6.
Nice.
I always shoot with 2 cameras, just in the event that something happens to one of the cameras, I've always got a backup, but also I like to shoot with different lenses. I usually shoot with a 24-70 on my main camera, and then on my backup I shoot with a 70-200 so I can get a little bit closer up and maybe a little bit farther for ceremony shots.
Nice.
Both of those cameras are in fact dual SD card holders, so I am always able to shoot on 2 SD cards at once.
Super important. Which
is actually super important for any wedding professionals. I also, when it comes to flash, I use a Godox V1 as my main flash, which creates beautiful lighting moments. But ultimately, those are my 2 cameras, and then I'll have a 24-70 lens as well as a 70-200.
And how do you keep those 2 bad boys on you at the same time?
I use a harness. It's a Coiro harness, I believe, but I am looking at getting a spider holster to kind of have it more around my hips. So we'll see what happens this wedding season.
Yeah, because you've been rocking that initial holster, and it has like your 2 cameras on the side dangling, which has been awesome for some time. But as we've hit over 50 weddings now. And now you're starting to feel it on your back a little bit, and we've come across some other photographers that have had like the one that you just mentioned, the spider holster. It's the spider holster that goes on your hip, so you don't have all that weight dangling. And also you can just bend down and pick things up on the ground, like the bride's bouquet, which we place it down somewhere for a second to get some shots, and then pick it up. And when you do that with your initial holster, like your cameras, you gotta.
Yeah, the harness can be a little annoying, but it's worked for me, and it does work with both cameras, so I do appreciate that. But I definitely feel like maybe this wedding season it's time to get the spider holster.
Yes, that new upgrade is going to be awesome.
And on to our videographer. What do you shoot
hello. So I shoot on, in time, I'm going to pick up some cinema cameras, but those are very hefty in price. But for now, I shoot on, my main camera is also the Canon R6 Mark II. And then my secondary camera is the Canon R8. And like she mentioned, with the R6 Mark II, it's dual slots. I don't know if you mentioned that already, how the dual slots are important, because that from the get, what that means is that you have 2 SD cards in each camera. And so everything that we record and capture that day is saved on 2 separate SD cards, which is always awesome, instead of 1. Imagine, because sometimes electronics can be electronics. And then you walk out of a wedding or a gig, and something happens with the camera, or the card is just erased or wiped, or for some weird reason. Having 2 slots, super beneficial.
So what lenses and audio equipment do you use?
So for audio, I have been using these Comica Vimo Cs, I believe they are, but I have recently rented the Rode Wireless Go 2 mics, which I am quickly learning that I will be picking that up for this coming wedding season. The major thing that has over my current mic is internal recording. So I don't have to be near near wherever this is attached to on the human. I don't have to be near them at all or have my camera even on. It'll just record internally just as long as it's turned on. Fantastic.
Super beneficial.
So getting my hands on those as soon as possible. For lenses, I definitely shoot, my primary lens tends to be a 24 to 70. So 24 to 70, 2.8. And then I have the 35 millimeter, which I'm not mad at as well. That's a nice little focal point that, I don't have to worry about the zoom, and it's not too far or too tight. And then sometimes I can fluctuate between either sticking with those two or also renting. Sometimes we don't have it, but we'll rent a 70 to 200. And so if that calls for it, then sometimes I use that. But primarily the 24 to 70 is my primary. And the 35 really. The 35 prime, just going down to a 1.8 aperture is pretty awesome. So I use that a lot.
Now, do you shoot with a gimbal or are you more handheld?
So I have I don't want to call it a love-hate because it's just a pure hate relationship with the gimbal. I just do not like the gimbal. I don't know what it is. I don't like anything about the gimbal. I love handheld.
No hate to gimbal users.
Definitely no hate to gimbal users. People execute flawlessly with the gimbal. It's awesome for what it is. Definitely, much respect. But I don't know. I love the handheld. I love handheld. I love always trying to improve my technique with handheld. And I don't know. It just gives me that maybe the gimbal is just a little too, I don't know. Cinematic's awesome, and I do some cinematic work, but I'm not much of a film-esque film person, film buff. A lot of Atlanta is known for its like film scenes, so a lot of people you'll hear in the videography world that I was a film student, I went to film school, which is totally cool, much respect, it's super awesome. But yeah, I don't like to get too much into production. This is pretty, this little production that we have going on here, but I feel like the more production and the more setting up and the more things are like cut, play, has to be perfect, I just get turned off. I don't know what it is. I just like the rawness and the real feeling of like handheld.
Like a home movie. You know? Like
pretty
the
much.
Nostalgic feels of like a home movie and just like being able to sit back and watch your wedding day kind of as it unfolded versus some sort of over the top production. That's why we kind of, shoot more documentary style.
For sure.
We do like to be more fly on the walls, on wedding days. We will of course come in and do some posing where needed, but we do like to capture the day as it unfolds naturally.
Yes. And I have seen quite a bit of like couples inquiring on it, Facebook as well, like in groups and such, people looking for more like home movie style videos and such, which has me very curious on the camcorder. I love the idea of having a camcorder. So, that might also be in the near future. We shall see.
So would you want Super 8 film, or are you more just like camcorder? What are you thinking?
No, I think if I were to touch like the Super, because that's also like super trendy and popular, is people wanting like film and Super 8 stuff. I like it, but I don't like handling film. I don't like the old school method of handling film and then dealing with it, and if you send it out or you have to handle it a certain way or all your footage gets messed up. I don't know. I just don't like all the manualness of all that stuff. It's vintage, retro. I respect it. It's awesome. I think if anything, I would try to lean my edits towards like a more retro, vintage kind of home movie feel rather than like doing Super 8 stuff.
Love that.
Yeah. So how about on the photo side of things? How do you feel about film?
So
film photography.
I love and respect film photography, and I love like the nostalgic feels it brings. However, film photography is not really my style and workflow. It leans more towards digital. I do have a ton of respect for film photographers and the art that they create, but currently with my workflow and the art I like to create, I'm more digital. I definitely feel like maybe down the road, who knows, I may end up trying and experimenting with film. But for right now, it's not really something I would lean in towards.
Nice. Right on. So we're on the same page there.
For sure. Yeah. Mad respect for film photographers.
100%. Yeah, that's its own little avenue for sure. And people want it. So, and it's trendy. I don't know if it's like, is it still trendy? Or
Oh,
is
yeah.
it? Yeah.
I feel like it's
Still
definitely
trending?
becoming more popular too.
Nice.
And it definitely has a place in the
Yeah.
photography world.
I think the furthest back I can go is camcorder. And I actually like the idea of that, so we'll see.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe it'll be an add-on soon.
For sure. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I just love the ability to zoom without like having a lens to be like do all that. I just like the ability to just like
And it kind
one
of feels
button.
like a home movie too,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And I'm interested in like the quality of it, the video quality of it, because it's my assumption that camcorders don't have as crispy of like video or picture quality or something. It's not it shouldn't be the worst, but I also personally like retro because of it's not like the most perfect anyways. That stuff doesn't, it's all going to be crispy when I deliver it, but yeah. So now so we talked about our gear a little bit. And if we missed anything, definitely hit us up in the comments and let us know. Ask
Or if
us
you have any
anything.
questions about our gear.
Yeah, for sure. And so now we're going to get into.
Oh, we also do use a Polaroid camera.
Yeah,
too.
we can't forget that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Polaroid's super fun.
An Instax Mini Evo. It is
Yes.
fantastic, and it has definitely upped our client game a little bit as far as what we offer our couples at the end of the wedding day and at the end of engagement sessions.
Yeah.
It's been so much fun. So as far as film goes, that's probably the farthest I'll go, at least for a while.
Polaroids are just always fun.
Polaroids are
Those are
fantastic.
here to stay forever.
And I guess I wouldn't compare that to film.
No,
But,
I don't think so.
you know, as far as like something aside from like digital,
Yeah. It's
a
awesome.
nice little addition.
Yeah, and engagement shoots and during weddings, how you just sprinkle them in, and as the day goes, you know, depending on what, you seem to get like a Polaroid from every significant portion of the day, and then at the end.
It's a nice little gift to our couples, and you know they really appreciate it, and it's nice to add into like late night flat lays too.
Yeah.
So
They just
it's a lot of
go
fun.
home with a bunch of instant gratification, and yeah, it's always fun, super fun. So now we're going to get into the general flow. We'll sort of go over a general flow from beginning to end, from receiving an inquiry on our website to delivering the full galleries. And so the first thing that we do right before we are officially booked is we like to send out a questionnaire that goes into detail about all of them, the logistics, of course, of the wedding and where the venue's located, the reception, and all that good stuff. But most importantly, we go over a bunch of questions that ask more
about the couple.
The couples,
You know,
yeah.
who they are, how they met, maybe their proposal story, some of the songs that are nostalgic in their relationship.
Yeah.
What's important to them on a wedding day. It kind of gives us some insight into who our couples are and what we can kind of bring to the table that helps us, you know, capture their wedding day as true to them as we can.
Yeah.
And we also, you know, with that, also we'll schedule an engagement session, which is included with all of our packages. We have found that engagement sessions are a super important piece of the puzzle when it comes to working with our couples.
Yeah.
It gives them a chance to get comfortable in front of the camera.
We get to know each other a bit more. So instead of popping in on wedding day and doing an official meet and greet, we like to, you know, the engagement session is a good chance to, you know, crack a few jokes and get to know each other a little bit better before the big day.
And you get some awesome photos and maybe even a save the date video out of it. So it's a win-win all around.
Yeah.
And we'll also kind of go over timeline details and everything, talk about, you know, vendor recommendations if they need anything prior to the wedding day. And,
Yep.
you know, we'll be in contact, you know, multiple times throughout the course of their wedding day planning before the actual big day.
Yep. And you might have mentioned this, but the timeline assistance also, we have shot and captured, documented several weddings. So we've experienced a ton of different types of timelines and such. So if any of our couples ever need help, or if we ever get the feeling that they're just kind of, you know, some people will say, I don't really know what time to allot for this, or I don't really know whatever, we like to offer and remind them that we do timeline assistance as well. So it's like, don't be left in the dark. We can totally help out too with all that good stuff.
And it helps when trying to figure out how much time you might need for photo and video. And
Yeah.
we always say more time is better because
For sure.
as we have learned working weddings, weddings can run late. Timelines can be delayed.
They almost
Things
always run
always
late.
happen
Always.
to where something is running late.
Yeah.
So it's always nice to have a little bit of a buffer window, especially when it comes to photos. But, you know, more time is better.
Definitely. It's always behind schedule. Very rarely are things just perfect and beautiful.
But
which
we
is not bad.
we do go with the flow too. So
For sure.
if it's running late, we will dive headfirst into whatever and make sure we capture it, make sure we help out, and make sure, you're not too stressed out, especially if it's, things are delayed.
The couples are most important to us, and the ease and comfortability of the couples more than any other thing that's going on. So we go with the flow, and whatever happens, we're there.
And you can trust, that we are there with like multiple backup plans, multiple, backup ideas if we need to think on the fly about, somewhere else to shoot your couples portraits because it's raining outside, or, we don't have any time before the ceremony, we'll figure it out.
Yep.
We also like to send over a formal shot list to understand, for family photos, who's going to be involved, because we have learned that it goes a little bit smoother when we have a shot list, at least for family photos, and who's going to be involved. So we can go down that list like pop, 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 make it pretty simple, make it pretty efficient, so then y'all can go and party. Yeah,
get them out there real quick. Some people hate taking those formal photos, so we try to get them knocked out as soon as possible and get them to alcohol as soon as possible, and good times.
Yes. And then after the wedding, we'll follow up. We'll send over some sneak peeks within 48 hours, which is an awesome, nice little surprise. And, you get like anywhere between like 40 and 60 sneak peeks. So you can kind of relive your wedding day a little bit before the full gallery is delivered. And then we'll also, finalize your wedding gallery and photos within about 4 weeks, give or take. And, it's an awesome little surprise. And we try and stay in contact as much as we can, keeping y'all up to date.
Yep. Awesome. So now that we've got all that fun stuff out of the way, I've got another fun question for you. Do you remember the first wedding we ever shot together? How has our process changed since then? Or mainly, do you remember the first? Let's just talk about the first wedding.
Yeah, it was actually an elopement.
And it was an elopement.
It was an elopement, and it was at the Cater Wolford Gardens, which was also our first time there, and it's a stunning location. So if you are looking for a super beautiful outside venue, check out Cater Wolford Gardens.
Yes.
That was awesome. It was kind of just sprung upon our lap a little bit, if you will.
Right.
We hadn't shot any weddings or anything before that, and they just trusted us to shoot their elopement, and it turned out beautiful.
Was that on Thumbtack? Was that?
Yeah.
Nice. So that was on Thumbtack, that little lead gen website that we used, and I think at that time we were just picking up all gigs, so any corporate gigs and birthday parties and you name it. And then this one came across our lap, and it ended up being awesome. They reviewed us fantastic. I think they hit us on Google too. Like gave us I don't know if we had.
Yeah, they hit us on Google.
They hit us on Google? Mm-hmm. Right on. So that was one of that after we got that review, we were like, that went well.
After we did that experience, it was kind of like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, everything went well.
Shooting weddings, this is fun, and it was a nice little intro because it was an elopement, and so it wasn't like the chaos of a full wedding day,
Yeah.
But from there, it just kind of we went up and up from there.
Yeah, we started taking on some more weddings on Thumbtack, and even with that, we were blessed with like just smaller weddings. I'm trying to think of
we
like
had a couple
the next
big
one.
ones from there. There was one at Lake Lanier.
That's right. Oh, that one went fantastic too. Awesome Google reviews on that one as well. So yeah, once we just started picking up weddings, we were like recognizing all the feedback we were getting, and then it wasn't too long after that we decided like we might as well just go head first and just niche straight into weddings.
And I know a lot of people tend to second shoot, prior to actually taking on weddings as in for leads, I guess, if you will.
It's a fantastic idea.
Which is a fantastic idea and helps get your foot in the door and helps you kind of learn the ebb and flow of weddings. But we kind of just like jumped head first, and it, we handled it very well. We handled it smoothly. Everything worked out as well as it could have for us never shooting weddings before. It was kind of like a easy transition, if you will. There were not really that many hiccups. And I feel very good about what we did when we were first starting, and even to now. Like,
definitely,
we're ebbing and flowing and growing as we go. And, we've obviously learned a lot with shooting how many weddings we've done already. But, I'm still grateful for all the couples who booked us in the very beginning. But when we barely had any experience under our feet, and just trusting that we were going to do something awesome, and we did.
Yeah.
And so I'm super proud of us for that.
100%.
I think it's awesome, and it's nice to look back at like the first few weddings that we did to now and how far we've come.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, I feel like anything that we do, we put like 150% into it, regardless. So from the beginning, because maybe it's the inner people pleasers and anxiousness in us that, and the little perfectionism that's in us.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely a people pleaser and
For sure.
empathetic, and I care a lot about how you feel about your photos and videos. So I am grateful when we get positive reviews and positive feedback, because
Definitely.
it makes me feel good about knowing that you're happy with the results, because it's your wedding day. You know, you should be able to look back at your photos and videos for years to come and be thankful for what was captured.
And feel all the feels.
Yes.
And smile
Cry,
and cry
smile,
and laugh and all the feels. Yeah, forever until, I've always mentioned that when people ask for videos, if whether they should add video onto their wedding day or not, a thing that I love to say is that like when you're 80 or 90 years old, like, and I can just expect us being 80, 90 years old, I would love to have not only photos are awesome, but having videos and just hearing those people, that you may have not seen in a minute, or life happens. So some people aren't here forever. You get to hear those laughs. You get to hear
and relive your wedding day,
For sure.
and
For
hear
sure.
your vows again. Especially if you said special private vows to each other. It's so nice to kind of relive those moments and be able to cherish what you felt.
And all the speeches too. I mean, for the people that aren't too lovey-dovey or anything, just documenting speeches and toasts from family members and friends, and some of those are hilarious on its own. And gotta capture those. Why not add video to your day? Just add video to your day. When you're 80 or 90 years old, you're gonna thank me for that.
So now we can kind of talk a little bit. So that was our first wedding that we shot, and kind of an experience and how we feel about, photos and videos.
Mm-hmm.
Now we can talk about the morning of a wedding and what we do to kind of prep ourselves, get our gear ready. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So morning preparation, really it starts the day before.
Yes.
The day before, we make sure all batteries are charged. That's super important. Make sure all batteries are charged. Make sure we have enough SD cards cleared and fully formatted to go into our cameras, plus have secondaries so that if they run out of space or whatever, that we have some backups for the day. And then we really just put together like a checklist mainly. So we get everything normally prepped the night before, and then in the morning is when we finalize everything and check that checklist, and we go over it at least 2 or 3 times. Sometimes we put 2 or 3 empty check boxes so that we make sure we literally go through the whole list 2 or 3 separate times. Because I don't think we've forgotten anything for a wedding, but I personally, being the fantastic clumsy person that I am, have forgotten a cable for a shoot, for an interview style shoot. A long time. It was probably a year and a half ago, a year ago. It was a while back. One of our beginning gigs. And I've never thought I could sweat as much as I did. We figured it out, of course, because I'm also a master of figuring things out. And for some reason, I perform at my absolute best when I'm thrown into the fire and I should be in full panic mode for some reason. I don't know what comes over me. But anyways, we figured that out. I figured that out. Everything was fine. But since that day, this checklist is definitely, we go over it 2 or 3 times to make sure that everything's all gravy.
Yeah, we make sure we have extra batteries, extra SD cards. We make sure lights are packed, cameras are packed, lenses are packed. Also drone. We also include a drone too that we make sure we include. Audio. All
the audio equipment. I make sure my drone battery's even charged up. Got SD cards for my drone. Yep. All the cables and cords, tripods, all the things. So that way in the morning, we're not scattering for literally anything. All we're doing in the morning is just drinking our coffee and going over that checklist 2 or 3 times.
Doing our handshake that we always do before every wedding.
That's important too. We have a little pregame handshake that we do before any wedding and gig. So yeah, we'll have to show you guys that handshake sometime soon.
And we always like to leave at least like an hour early and make sure we get there, with extra time, just in case there's traffic, in case anything happens. We're always at gigs and weddings, at least like 30 minutes to an hour before we're supposed to be there.
For sure.
So it also gives us peace of mind.
Yeah, I love being there at least like 30 minutes early. And I love just flying my drone during that time too. So I love just because when the day starts and goes, I have pockets of time where I could fly the drone, especially like before reception hits and stuff. But I love flying the drone when I get there, like before the day even starts. So that way all my footage, all the drone footage and perspectives are captured and got, and I don't have to think about that. I can just walk in with, with camera in hand and, hey couple, if you're all there. Yeah. And then that way the drone's out of the way, and if weather decides to get weird, at least I got the drone footage prior to the day starting, so love doing that too. And then if there's extra time or between the reception, then that's just extra, just cherries on top. All right. So yeah, now that we kind of talked about our morning and morning of preparation, we can get into sort of how we take
charge with, poses and prompts. And when it comes to our couples, we do like to kind of cater it to our couples and their, respective parties and families, as far as whether they're wanting more fun, more traditional, more just kind of like go with the flow, more, just fly on the wall.
Yep.
So we either, you can send over your Pinterest board if you got inspiration. You can let us know if there's, prompts or poses you don't really want us to do.
Yep.
But if you kind of give us free reign, we'll kind of come up with a couple fun ideas. One time, when we were in Jamaica.
Yep.
We were with the groomsmen, and, they wanted some fun photos, fun prompts. So of course, we suggested, let's have you throw the groom up in the air. Why not?
We've seen pictures, we've seen those photos.
We've done some fun things here and there. So we were like, why not? And they were super down with it. First go around, they were like, all right, we can do better. So then they did it again, and lo and behold, the groom ripped his pants.
Which is something that he had warned prior to that. Literally. He was like, "Oh, just make sure that I just want to make sure that I don't rip my pants." And the way they were holding them, they were, they felt confident after the first go round. So they're like, "Let's try it again. I think we can get them higher this time. Let's try the second time." And
unfortunately, he ripped his pants.
And that sound was like, "Oh my goodness!" What?
Our faces were like, "Oh no!"
This did not happen to us.
But luckily, lo and behold, it ripped at the seam. And
right on the seam.
So, it ripped in the perfect place that it could have ripped, as far as ripping pants go.
Yeah.
And there was a sewing kit there on site somewhere that they found.
I think it was the hotels, or I don't know where it came from, but there was a sewing kit.
And everything worked out.
And the groom the groom was knowledgeable on sewing. And so he immediately got to work. And then it all just worked out.
But after that, we've decided that stuff like that we're not going to suggest unless y'all want to do it. We'll be there.
We'll throw that warning of like, hey, this might happen. So if it does, sign here real quick. No, I'm kidding.
Sign this release, please.
Yeah.
But things happen. But I guess that's kind of how weddings go,
And it adds to the story. If it were us, I would find that absolutely hilarious. And that would be something. And they did,
of course.
Yeah, they were awesome.
Perfectly, and they can laugh about it now, and there's some pictures and video evidence of it, which is always fun.
Yep.
But yeah, that definitely, I guess backfired, if you will, but didn't, because it worked out. So we're grateful for that.
Yeah, for sure.
But, we'll throw a couple ideas, to our couples, and, if they're wanting more, documentary style, we'll do more prompts over poses. We'll of course, get some, formal shots in there for, the ones that you hang on the wall. But ultimately, we're going to have fun with it and make sure y'all are living in the moment and truly enjoying your day and not feeling awkward in front of the camera.
For sure.
So, we got a little question for each other. What's your favorite part of a wedding day to shoot?
My favorite part of the wedding day to shoot, probably two parts. I love flying the drone. So I just like flying the drone. And I like the ceremony. Yeah, I like the ceremony a lot. I don't know why. I like getting multiple angles, and then I like the editing process of the ceremony as well.
Because you try to get like 2 to 3 angles, right?
Yeah, I try to get two to three perspectives on it, and then just syncing everything together and all with the audio, and then having it all just beautifully synced up.
Crafted.
Yep, and then you can just cut from one camera to the next, and the audio is syncing up and everything. I don't know, something about that is very satisfying to me. So yeah, it's the most stressful part of the day for sure, but maybe that's why also
because you work well under pressure, so it's like one of the most pressurized moments of the day.
I need pressure. I need something to keep me on my toes, you know, because if things get too comfortable, it just gets too boring after a while. So yeah, the ceremony. Yeah, it's my favorite part
that.
for sure. What about you?
I don't know. I mean, I love the ceremony, of course, because it's, you know, probably the most important part of the day. But I also really love couples portraits, because that's when we are kind of like one-on-one with our couples, and they can kind of actually catch a little bit of a break from, you know, the chaos of a wedding day, and be able to kind of, you know, just be with each other and celebrate the fact that they're married, you know, and have a little bit of time just to themselves. I also love first looks if our couples choose to do that, which, you know, we think is also a super beautiful moment. But ultimately, you know, I definitely love couples portraits, and, you know, the ceremony's up there too. But
yeah,
I gotta
you do
say,
love those couples portraits. You're always looking at when the sun sets. You always have your eye on that.
Gotta
You're
have
always
golden hour photos.
trying to pull them out of there. So, you know, for the most part, everyone's always receptive and wanting to do that. You know, of course, if a couple just doesn't want to, or they're just having fun at the reception or whatever, we go with the flow. So, you know, totally. But we would not be doing what we do best if we didn't peep our head in and go, hey, the sun's looking amazing. Do you want to go out there and shoot some stuff real quick?
Make time for golden hour photos. You won't regret it.
For sure. They always come out so awesome.
And I love it too, so it's a win-win.
Yeah.
But I'm being a little selfish there, so.
Definitely.
Oh, I guess we can also point out, you know, when it comes to, you know, how we mentioned earlier about dual slot, you know, SD cards. We do also back up all your footage.
Oh, let's talk
photos.
backups.
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about
backups. And
we've had quite a bit of couples ask us what our backup process is, or anything like that. A lot of people, I guess,
they're worried that something might happen, which is a very valid concern.
For sure.
But we do our best to, once we get home, we will back up all of your footage and photos to an external hard drive, to an iCloud, or a cloud service, and then also keep the SD cards ready and available until we actually deliver everything. Yep. So if something was to happen, we would be all set. But your photos and videos are literally stored in about 4 different places.
That is before we go to sleep that night, so that we do not, just before we even go to sleep, no matter what. We've had like 10-hour days and driven like an hour or 2 back home and been so exhausted, but we cannot go to sleep because just the fear. Electronics, even though from the gate we're already doing amazing with our dual card slots, so they all save from the day on 2 different cards anyways, so that's fantastic on its own without even doing anything. But before we even go to sleep, just because we're paranoid, and like the one moment that in day that you decide not to do that and be lazy is the day that
happen, and
lightning's going to strike, creep into your door, and just
because of that. So we do our best.
So before we go to sleep, 4 different places. You've got 2 from just us being at your wedding throughout the day, and then once we get back on an external hard drive, we then shove it onto an external hard drive, and then once those are uploaded, we shove it onto a cloud storage that we have, and so 4 places before we even go to sleep.
Yes.
And then we don't even touch those SD cards or format them in any way until we deliver everything. And
we get notice that everything's good. So, you know, we do our best to make sure that y'all are covered and that you don't have to worry about anything, because we never want anything to happen to your wedding day photos or videos.
Yes.
So rest assured, when you work with us, we got you covered.
Oh yeah, 100%.
All right, we've got another question. What's one wedding moment that always makes us emotional? Or makes you emotional, I guess.
Wedding moment that makes me emotional, me personally, I think immediately of like two different occasions.
Okay.
One, the ceremony when they're reading their vows, for sure. Just like if the couples get emotional and they're, you know, a lot of couples when they're saying their vows, if the nerves don't get to them, which are most of our couples, if not the majority, are pretty fluid with it. They can just like really tunnel in, and it's about them too, which is awesome. I love that. But that being said, because they're they just like tune out the world, and they just is as if it's just them two when they're reading their vows. If they get
Super
emotional, I'm just over it. I'm over here just like breathe, hold my camera still if I've got my handheld on me. That, and then speeches. I love a good speech is awesome, man. Good toasts and speeches from family members or friends, whatever. When those get emotional too, I don't know, just memories, just memories in general, because it's live, but then they speak about memories in the past, and then that when you're looking back on your wedding, on all this stuff 20, 30 years ahead, you're looking at them talking about the past, and that just, yeah, all of that. I love it. I'm almost getting goosebumps, but yes.
Yeah, vows for me too. I definitely feel like either during the ceremony or first looks, like when the couples are reading their private vows to each other, I definitely get into my feels. Because it's a sweet moment, and honestly, I love love, and also, like father-daughter dances, speeches, stuff like that.
Oh my God, yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Definitely pulls on my heartstrings a little bit, because it, especially just love and seeing, our couples with their family and friends who truly care and love them. Just seeing all the, intimate moments and emotions bring me to tears a little bit. So.
And the different family dynamics too. Mm-hmm. Not to like compare, but you can't help but compare. But seeing all the different family dynamics can bring some emotion to me as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you won't ever see me capture a wedding without getting emotional at one point or another.
All right, so I think we pretty much covered quite a bit of our workflow from beginning to end. If we're missing anything, definitely shoot us some questions down in the comments. And now we're going to get into the last segment here of this episode.
Yeah, and we did want to say, if you're a wedding creative that's either watching or listening to this podcast right now, let us know in the comments what is something about your workflow that you can't live without, or a piece of gear that you literally bring to every wedding now.
Yeah.
We would love to know.
Yeah, what's your go-to lens? What's your go-to camera? What camera do you have your eyes on that you want? What's your dream lens? I don't know. Shoot us all that fun info. And also, if there are any creatives or anybody out there that has been thinking about getting into weddings or anything really that involves...
Yeah, or still looking for your photo video team, let us know. We'd love to help out. We'd love to offer some suggestions, some advice. We'd love to work with you. So feel free to shoot us a message or comment below, and we'll get to chatting.
Yep. And that goes for like if there's any videographers out there, just solo videographers that would like to team up with photographer. I mean, we do photography only gigs. We prefer both photo and video together. However, there are some couples that have, that book their photo people or their videographer first. And so if you're a videographer, solo videographer, and you want to team up with us to do photo, or if you're a photographer and your couple is looking for a videographer, let us know. We're here. Let's chat.
All right, y'all. If you enjoyed this episode, catch the next one next week. It is going to be all about love, life, and our work-life balance, and how we mesh everything together.
Yeah, how we seem to not rip each other's heads off and balance all the things.
And make it work.
Flawlessly.
Yeah. All right, bye, y'all.
Later.